Welcome to the Richmond Events podcast, where we take you inside the UK's most exclusive business forums. You'll get to meet the delegates, suppliers and speakers shaping their industries. Richmond Events, this is where business gets done.
Hi, I'm Eion Keenan, co-founder and CEO of Goodrays. We make the UK's most premium well-being drinks. Well, my background's a little bit funny. I struggled with stress and anxiety at university. Decided to see if I could help overcome that with more natural products. So I tried CBD for a year, was a bit of a human guinea pig, and found a massive improvement in sleep, stress, anxiety, and it kind of led me on this journey into looking at how medicinal plants can help overcome some of life's oldest challenges. So I actually ran a hemp farm in the US and Canada for 2 years. Planned to stay for 2 months, ended up staying for 2 years. And we supplied all the hemp into the manufacturing of hemp and CBD infused beer. And after that, came back to the UK, helped start a regulatory advisory firm called Prohibition Partners. And what we did is we acted as the linchpin between lobbyists, pharmaceutical industry and industry to help advance medical cannabis and CBD policy in the UK. And shortly thereafter launched Goodrays with the vision and mission to help people feel good, discover the power of calm through medicinal CBD beverages. I think these kind of events are really valuable because of the quality of the people in the room. So you're getting retail, e-commerce directors, both from big businesses as well as challenger brands. So you're getting unique perspectives, but you're also finding out that people are facing the same kind of issues on a daily basis. So just hearing from other kind of leadership individuals about how they're managing and navigating those trends, but also those challenges has been really, really valuable. So I think the quality of the people, the ability to an opportunity to speak about Goodrays to a really educated and influential audience, and the chance just to network with other like-minded people who are thinking about how to navigate the same problems I am. I've been talking today about differentiation in the age of increased competition, particularly from like a challenger brand perspective. So how do we think about differentiation and distinctiveness and consistency from a brand level? Particularly as we get increased competition in more convoluted and saturated markets. I think one of the advantages that we have as startups or challenger brands, and particularly myself as a non-CPG ex-founder, is we don't really play by category rules also. So we're not restricted by the norms of food and drink industries or consumer goods industries, and we come from a unique perspective because we never worked in that industry in the first place. And that gives us a kind of new creative view on how things should look or how things should sound or how things we can activate and how we might be able to display our products or bring our products to life. So we're not necessarily bound by conventional wisdom, and actually we come from an idea of why don't we do different things, or why don't we create new products? Why don't we put, hemp infused cannabinoids into a beverage to help people feel better? Like ultimately, wouldn't that be better for the consumer than the big energy, big sugar drinks that we already consume? So I think we just come from a kind of maybe a braver or more bolder standpoint, but that's really influenced by naivety as opposed to strategic insight, I think. We always sound, look, act a bit different than the bigger corporates, and that's one of the reasons that some of the big grocers, but also consumers, are interested in these products, maybe because they sound more human or they have a more of a human story than some of the big corporations will, because it's put through so many different layers of so many different people and takes a lot of the personality out of the brand or the product. So I think when it comes to everything from like liquid, we're not bound by conventional COGS restrictions or the type of products that we use or the type of ingredients that we can use. We can think just actually what would be best from the consumer. And we come from a consumer lens because ultimately I'm a consumer and I came from the same problem that everyone else is facing, that I just wanted healthier, well-being drinks that made me feel good every day as opposed to dragging me down with sugar or energy or, alcohol after work. Being a disruptor in the food and drink industry benefits us coming into these environments because we can challenge some of those norms that we have or some of those expectations that we have, or we can find new rules that we think are worth breaking. It's good to understand how other brands and other retailers are looking at disruption and looking for innovation, whereas that's kind of always where we started. So it's interesting hearing from more established businesses that are always trying to invest in creativity or innovation, but that's something that was always kind of core to our identity, and that's where we came from and how we broke through. So it's really interesting meeting different ends of the spectrum, people who have legacy, historical brands who've built them over decades, and the new insurgent brands that are a bit more creative, a bit more innovative, and a bit more agile and able to move quicker, which is one of our main advantages. We can always move quicker than the big guys. So it's interesting to kind of pull at those and find the tensions, but also find the common ground as we become bigger brands. What can we learn from those more mainstream and big brands? I think the value that we can take from those bigger brands that have been around hundreds of years is that they know how to scale and they know how to operate big growing teams and navigate particularly challenging or tricky times. So they've been through more, they've seen more than we have, and they've learned a lot about how the consumer, how the retail and e-commerce environment all changes. So they've seen so many different changes of new technology in the market or new regulations in the market. So they've learned how to adapt, and we can learn from their kind of methodologies and how they've got through these issues. I think the kind of value that people can get from this event in particular is you're coming to meet a really high quality and caliber of other leaders who have huge amounts of experience and have done amazing things. And everywhere you look, at your dinner table or your lunch table or at breakfast, you're always meeting new and interesting people that should be speaking and sharing insights. So I think often you go to conferences where the speaker has a majority of the insight. Here, everyone here has really high quality and insight and intelligence and experience. So I think it's meeting and learning from other people, and then just there's a massive value in getting out of the office, right? Making sure you're dedicating time to learning, professional development, whatever it is. I think you can learn more from those days than you can necessarily counting the hours in the office.